thank for all the organizing member for conducting such a or organizing such a nice e-workshop on instrumentation technique in a chemical sciences. So first of all, I would like to thank for all the organizing members, especially for the Dr. Pramod Kumar, Professor Devraj Singh, Dr. Nitesh Jaiswal, Dr. Mithilesh Yadav, and Dr. Ajit Singh, and Dinesh K. Verma. And I would also like to thank for my professor in MSc for teaching me, Professor Rana Krishnapal Singh and Professor Shekhar Srivastava sir, for being a student as an in MSc during Allahabad University. So, first of all, I would like to share my presentation to all. Just a bit. Just wait a minute. Just okay. PPT are shown to everyone. PPTs are visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So my today's talk is based on the nanomaterials. Nanomaterials, its synthesis approach, characterization, and utilizing this platform for basically biosensing application, which will be more focused on cholesterol biosensor and its application. We are also showing some my research work or that particular slides. So we are started, and so we can think that the question first of all arises: what is a nano? So I would like to. Nanomaterial are commonly defined as a material with at least a dimension is belonging 1 to 100 nanometers, and if you think the scale for the nanometer in a natural things or things like in a non man-made things, if you think like a DNA is in around 2 to 12 nanometer, and a silicon atom sheet is around spacing between an atom is 10 to the power minus 13 nanometers. And if the man-made things, you think we are preparing carbon nanodots, carbon nanotubes, buckyballs, graphene, brophine, Maxine, all are the man-made nanomaterials which would you like to think that is in a nano range. So at least one dimension of a nanomaterial in a nano range, that is called as the nanomaterials. So how it is? How it is the classify the nanomaterial? So there is a various basis on the basis for the nanomaterial classification. First basis for the dimensionality. So there we all know that there is a 4 types of category for the nanomaterial on the basis of dimension. That is 0D, 1D, 2D, and 3D. If the material are go on the one direction, if the atom or molecule are go on in the one direction, that is the 1D materials. If the nanomaterials or a nanoscale range grow up or atom or molecule in a 2 different direction, that is a 2D or 3D material. So there is a various example for the 0D, that is a solid nanoparticle, hollow nanoparticle, clusters, quantum dots, all are belonging to a 0D nanomaterials. If 1D nanomaterials, that is nanorods, nanowires, fibers, CNT, carbon nanotubes, all are belonging to a one-dimensional nanomaterials. And 2D nanomaterials belonging to film, preferred patterned surface, coating, seeds, all are belonging to a two-dimensional nanomaterials. And 3D nanomaterials basically belonging to a polycrystal. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Slide is not moving, I think.
Oh, slide is not moving. Just
please keep it in presentation mode.
Okay.
No, make it in presentation mode. Make it full.
Yeah, it is full mode, I think.
No,
Not yet?
no.
Yes, that one.
Moving?
You may share again, then try.
Okay. Is it okay? Slide is visible?
No, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir, it's visible. Yes, sir, it's visible.
Is it moving?
No. It won't move, Jay, because you have to make it in presentation mode.
यहाँ तो move कर रहा है, वहाँ तो move कर रहा है. Is it okay?
No, sir.
Is it moving?
Sir, please go to the presentation mode, slideshow mode. No, sir, static, not moving.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Jay sir, I think you're just presenting one of your tabs. So if it's just the tab that you're presenting, the slideshow will not work. So can you present your entire screen and then go for slideshow?
Yeah,
Maybe that will work. Present your
Yeah,
entire
that-
screen.
Yeah, that is okay. Yes.
Not just one tab. When you're presenting, please present the entire screen.
Is it okay?
No, sir.
Yes.
Slide is visible?
Not yet.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now,
It's visible.
now slideshow.
Yeah, is
Yes.
it visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's totally okay. Yep.
Okay. So how to classify the nanomaterial is there is different basis for the classification of nanomaterial. That is, first is in dimensionality. That is 0D, 1D, 2D, and 3D. If the atom or molecule are grow in the one direction, that is an 1D nanomaterials, one dimension nanomaterial belonging to a nanorod, nanowire, fibers, carbon nanotubes, and 2D nanomaterials, that is in films, patterned surface coatings, and sheets like structures are belonging to two-dimensional nanomaterials, and 3D nanomaterials is basically in a cubical form or a polycrystal. 3D nanocomposites, MEMS devices, or electrochemical systems, all are belonging to 3D systems. So not only the basis of dimensionality, the nanoparticles are also classified on the basis of morphology. So there is flatness, sphericity, and aspect ratio. There is a three category for the on the basis of morphology. So high aspect ratio, that is belonging to a nanowires, nanohelix, nanocage, nanopillars, nanotubes, nanofibers, nanopads, all are belonging to high aspect ratio nanomaterials, and low aspect ratio nanomaterials that belonging to a nanospheres, nanopyramids, and nanocubes. And on the basis of state, nanomaterial are classified on the basis of isomeric, inhomogeneous, dispersed suspension, agglomerated nanoparticles, and on the basis of chemical compositions, there are different types of a nanomaterial. We are preparing a single constituent nanoparticle, composite, inorganic, organic, hybrid materials, metallic nanomaterials, branch dendrimers, quantum dots, ceramics, polymer, nanogel, and core cell, metal carbides and nitrates, various aspects for the chemical composition for the classification of nanomaterials. So, nanomaterials, basically, why the nanomaterial are so interesting for the bulk materials? Because they are belonging, as the size of nanomaterial, approaches of nanomaterial particle is too small that drastically change their physical property, electrical property, catalytic, optical, mechanical, magnetic to their counterpart and bulk material. So Richard Feynman is the father of nanotechnology, who invented the nanotechnology and do the lot of work for the nanotechnology on the. So various types of nanoparticle, metal nanoparticle, metal oxide nanoparticle, semiconductor nanoparticle, polymer, magnetic, different types of nanomaterials are known today. So how nanotechnology work on nanotechnology? Nanotechnology is a science, engineering and technology conducted at the nanoscale, which is about 1 to 100 nanometer. So nanotechnology is about making useful things by manipulating matter at the nanometer length, that is 1 to 100 nanometer. So this is a scale, so the nano range, that is a water molecule around 10 to the power 1 to tennis ball around 10 to the power 8. So belonging all these ranges, there is a various type of materials belonging to that particular scale, that is the nanoporous dendrimers, cantilevers, and lab on a chip are belonging at a different scale of nanometer. So nowadays nanotechnology promises in a various expected impact of a nanotechnology in the various fields, that is the medicine and health, information technology, energy production, storage, material science, food science. In a various fields, nanotechnology can be utilized in a very frequently. So how to synthesize the nanoparticle? There is a two basic approach for the preparation of nanoparticle. That is, one is a top-down approach and second is the bottom-up approach. In the top-down approach, refers to scaling of successive cutting of a bulk material to get a nano size. Suppose the bulk material in a 6 or 10 to the power 6 or a micro size in a range, then it will be a successive cutting to a bulk material to get a nano size particle. That is the approach called as the top-down approach. And if the second basically approach, that is also called as the self-assemble approach, that is a bottom-up approach. In the bottom-up approach, refers to build up a material from the bottom, atom by atom or a molecule by molecule. Atom by molecule or molecule by molecule. That is a second approach. So atom by atom dispersion leads to the formation of self-assembly of atom or a molecule and a cluster to make a nanoparticle range. So there is a three basic in two different approach. There is a possible synthesis or a approach for the preparation of nanoparticle, that is a chemical approach, physical approach, and a biological approach. Mainly biological approach and chemical approach belonging to a bottom-up approach, and physical approach belonging to a top-down approach. In chemical approaches, there is a various method for the preparation of nanoparticle or nanomaterial or nanoscale range material, that is in chemical reduction, co-precipitation, microemulsion, sol gel, hydrothermal, and various methods is a chemical route. And that is in a physical approach that belonging to a top-down approach, that is a sonochemicals, sputtering, microwave irradiation, laser ablation, and gamma irradiation, and thermal decomposition are belonging that approach for the physical method for the preparation of nanoparticle. And some of the biological approach also known that the plant material are used for the preparation of nanoparticle, that is a plant-based phytochemical, fungus, bacteria, and viruses, and definitely the alternative, simple and low cost, non-toxic and eco-friendly procedure, because we are using a green route for the synthesis of nanoparticles. So biological approach is basically much more advantage than the chemical and physical approaches. So not nanocomposite, that is a nanocomposite is a mixture of two or more different nanoparticle or a nanomaterial are in a different ratio, that is a silica, silane modified, polymer modified, bimetallic, miscellaneous, various type of a composite material are known in tool nowadays. So how to characterize the nanomaterial and how to confirm the material is in a nano range. So basically first some of the basic characterization tool, we all already know the particle size analyzer, that is an electron DLS, and that is a dynamic light scattering, and VT surface area, that is a particle size analyzer. So X-ray diffraction technique is a phase identification and structural characterization, and all other techniques, that is an morphological characterization done by the SEM and TEM, AFM, and some structural and binding phenomena will be done by the FTIR, UV, visible Raman spectroscopy, and magnetic behavior will definitely be done by the BSM and squared. Electrochemical characterization, electrical characterization. There is a various characterization tool available for the nanoparticle. So here I am discussing only the nanoparticle electrochemical characterization. So some recent advances in a nanomaterial, that is in a carbon nanotubes, that is in a graphene, brophene, maxine, that is a very recent material, nanomaterials which are interesting material for the biomedical, energy storage, and various field. Nanostructured polymer, optical fibers, nanoparticle imaging system, nanostructure coating, ceramic nanoparticle, nanomedicine, and nano devices. And here I am discussing the nanobiosensor. So now nanotechnology challenges is the life sciences to make a developing. Here I am discussing the developing nanosensor for the clinical diagnostic, pollution, virus, toxins, bacteria, cellular activities, and monitoring various process. So I am discussing this nanomaterial to utilize this nanomaterial for the biosensing application. So first we know what is the biosensor. Biosensor is not a single science, it is a multidisciplinary science including the chemistry, biology, instrumentation, market opportunity, a molecular electronics, physics. So all the branches of sciences which are included in a biosensors. So what is a biosensor? That is a here I am describing this raw diagram. That is there is a biosensor containing. Biosensor is a self-integrated or integral device which is capable of providing specific quantitative or semi-quantitative analytical information using a biological element. Just a simple definition for the biosensor, that is a biosensor is an integrated device that converts a biological signal to some measurable signal. Biological signal is converted to some measurable signal. That measurable signal may be optical, may be electrochemical, may be piezoelectric, may be any types of signal which we can measure by the use of transducers. So optical transducers, maybe electrochemical transducers, maybe piezoelectric transducers. So the basic definition is a biosensor is a biological signal converted to some measurable signal by using some transducer. So biosensor basically containing a four component, that is that is the first component is a biocompatible layer. This biocompatible layer is designed or fabricated by using some nanomaterial platform, or maybe some conducting polymers, or maybe some composite materials, and we can immobilize a different types of immobilizing molecule, that is an antibody, enzyme, DNA, bacteria, organism, etc. And second is second most important component is of a biosensor is a transducer, that is an electrical transducers, optical, physical, electrochemical, piezoelectric, different types of transducer. The work of transducer is a convert to biological signal to some measurable signal. Then the amplifier and microprocessor and data processing, that is give the a display unit, that all these the component are a biosensor. These all four components are integrated in a self-integrated device that is called as the biosensor. The simple example of biosensor, you all know the glucose sensor or a glucometer. That is one type of a biosensor nowadays available in the market. So application of biosensor, that is in a various field, that is in a study of biomolecules and their interaction, drug entrapment, biospecific interaction, qualitative and qualitative analysis of a food, different types of disease detection. So various application of a biosensor available. So nowadays, world can work in a different types of a biosensor, that is cholesterol, glucose, enzyme, urea, LDL, low density lipoprotein, triglycerides, various types of food toxin detection, various types of viruses and bacteria detection. So all various types of leukemia, Neisseria gonorrhea, DNA, cholera, all types of diseases which can early detect, or cancer early detection by using the enzymatic immunosensor and enzymatic biosensor, antibody antigen sensor, or nucleic acid sensor. So various type of biosensor are available or work on a whole world. So market of biosensor, that is around $7.4 billion market in 2013, and it will increases up to $10.2 billion in 2007 with the growth of 10.4. So the market of biosensor increases day by day or year by year, are in the various fields, in the food and beverages, medicals, biodefense, environmental, biopharmaceutical research. In a various field, the market of biosensor are increases day by day. So the different immobilizing technique. What is an immobilization? Immobilization is a physical, chemical, and a biological interaction between your biomolecule and a matrix. So immobilization is a binding phenomena, maybe a physical binding, maybe a chemical binding, or maybe a biological interaction. There is an interaction between the biomolecule, that is an DNA, maybe antibody, maybe DNA, maybe cell, and the matrix. Matrix may be prepared by a nanomaterials, may be fabricated by a various type of nanomaterials, or a polymer composites, or a composite material, nanomaterial. So various immobilization techniques and transducers, that is a bioreceptor, that is an immobilization done by the covalent binding, cross-linking, adsorption, entrapment, confining, encapsulation. There is a various technique for the immobilization, that is a binding between the matrix and biomolecules. And there is a nanomaterial metal oxide, that is a biological reaction generation, that is here there is a biological reaction, and this biological reaction can produce the biological signal, and a transducer can convert this signal to some measurable signal, that is in the form of electrical signal, that is an amperometric, potentiometric, empediometric, and in the form of optical signal, that is a photometric, fluorescence, electrochemical, luminescence, and SPR signal, and physical, that is a piezoelectric signal, or maybe a thermometric signal. So the ideal or a basic characteristics of a biosensor, that is a linearity. What do you mean by the linearity? The linearity of a sensor must be high for the detection of a high substrate concentration. Suppose the physiological range is belonging to the linearity. Linearity means it detect the lower to higher concentration of analyte in a same linear fashion. Sensitivity. What is the sensitivity? The value of electrode response per substrate concentration. So sensitivity should be high. That is the ideal characteristics of a biosensor. It should be a selective, or a specific, or a selective. Interference of chemicals must be minimized for obtaining the correct result. Response time should be high. Self life should be high. Reproducibility, that should be a high for the characteristic of biosensor. So different types of a biological recognition element, that is in a biomolecule, that is an enzyme, protein, DNA, organelles, microbial cells, plant cells, etc. And the name of biosensor, if the enzyme is an immobilizing molecule or a biomolecule, that is called as the enzymatic biosensor. If the DNA is is a biomolecules, then that is called as the DNA biosensors, and microbial sensor, and antibody or antigen are using as a bioanalyte or a biomolecule, that is called as the immunosensor or immunosensor. So various type of nanostructured metal oxide are used in a biosensing application, that is a metal oxide nanoparticle. Here I am drawing some graph that is which can easily show the how much which nanomaterial are most usually used for the biosensing application, that is a zinc oxide and iron oxide, zinc oxide, iron oxide, and cerium oxide, titanium oxide. All these type of materials are very much useful for the sensing application. Apart from that, SNO2, nickel oxide, MnO2, magnesium oxide, vanadium oxide, copper oxide, silicon oxide, zirconia, etc. are also used for the biosensing application. These are the graph are shown the number of paper published during. So why nanomaterials? Why nanomaterials or a nanostructure material or a nanomaterial are used for or important for the biosensing application? Because of some reasons, for the high specific surface area, that is the surface to volume ratio. The smaller the size, higher the surface to aspect ratio, and nanomaterials should be a biocompatible, because the biomolecule should be immobilized on the surface of nanomaterial. So biocompatibility is the parameter. Biocompatibility is the parameters for the nanomaterials, and a high chemical stability, electrochemical activity, high adsorption capability, high charge transfer ability, catalytic activity, and negligible swelling in the both aqueous and non-aqueous solution, that comparison to organic solvent. So that is a various property for the nanomaterial that can utilize for the biosensing application. So why nanomaterial? So why nanomaterial are used for the biosensing application? Here I am discussing the cholesterol biosensor and how to utilize this nanomaterial in a detection of a cholesterol. So first I would like to introduce some basic for the cholesterol. Cholesterol is a type of lipid. It is a waxy fat-like substances that your liver produces naturally. Around 70% of 70 or 75% of cholesterol that produces in our liver, and around 25% or 30%, around 25 to 30% of cholesterol that we can take intake by our diet. So cholesterol doesn't dissolve in water, so it can travel through your blood on its own to help transport cholesterol in your that is called as the lipoproteins. So most of our cholesterol substance made by our own body, around 75%. At normal level, cholesterol actually play an important role in helping cells to their job. Cholesterol levels are very high in more than 100 million Indians. So cholesterol play an important role in the brain synapses and in the immune system. So why cholesterol is a type of lipid? That is, a cholesterol is carried in a plasma by a series of proteins containing aminoacids known as the lipoproteins. These proteins are categorized as a very low density lipoprotein, high density lipoprotein, in intermediate density lipoprotein, and very low density lipoprotein. There is enough different types of proteins. Cholesterol are available. That is if we are seeing the total cholesterol in our body, or a detection by using the what is a total cholesterol. Total cholesterol, there is a 5 type of cholesterol or lipids are available in our body. That is total cholesterol. That the level is of 150 to 200 mg per dl. That is below, that is good for health, but more than 200, that is a high level of cholesterol. High density lipoprotein cholesterol is called as a good cholesterol, and low density lipoprotein is called as the bad cholesterol. That is the level of cholesterol is mentioned here. And a very low density lipoprotein is very harmful for our body. And triglycerides is another types of a fat. That is the level is at 200 to 240. That is a normal level of triglycerides. Basically, triglycerides and cholesterol are different types of lipid that circulate in our body. So triglycerides mainly store unused calorie and provide your body with energy. Cholesterol is used to build cell and certain hormones. So cholesterol is a very important parameter for our body because it is the precursor of many of steroids and hormones, bile duct, and various factors. And it is utilized for the building of cells. So total cholesterol measure the combination of LDL, SDL, and VLDL. And VLDL is a precursor of LDL, that is a bad cholesterol. A total cholesterol score under 200 mg per dl considered is a healthy in the most of cases. People who score in the high range of or increased risk of developing heart disease compared to those who score below 200 mg per dl of cholesterol. So there is three basic reasons for the increasing or decreasing the cholesterol level. In that is an unhealthy eating of habits, and second is an lack of physical activities, and third is an smoking. So there is three major reasons for the increasing the cholesterol. That is one more reason, that is a genetic reason. That is a genetic may also cause people to have high cholesterol. For example, families history containing the hypercholesteremia is an inherited from the high cholesterol. Other medical condition and certain medicines may also cause the high cholesterol level in our body. So the best food for to increase the good cholesterol, that is an olive oil, that is an to increase the HDL, that is an olive oil, soya beans, nuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, and apples, whole grains, all are belonging to a good cholesterol. And some of the foods that we are avoided for the bad cholesterol, that is in cakes, cookies, crackers, fried foods, margarine, microwave, popcorn, etc. So how to determine the cholesterol testing or gender-wise the cholesterol disease in a human? That is the most important risk factor is in diabetic. That is the reason for the increasing the cholesterol. That is the person will become a diabetic or a low SDL or a high triglycerides. Best measurement is around more than 35 inches or more. Inflammatory disorders, all are the reason for the cholesterol level increasing in our body. And there is some symptoms, that is the fatigue, malacia, shortness of breath, nausea, depression, all are the symptoms for belonging to the increasing the cholesterol level in our body. Diagnostic process that is available in the market, that is an ECG and echo, when angiography and all other things are for the cholesterol. And here we are discussing the early detection of cholesterol, that is in biosensor, and the same more or less same features are in a man also. So cholesterol is a very serious problem because out of one cause of death, that is a cardiovascular death, and three cause of death around cerebrovascular disease. All are belonging to a heart disease. That is around 40% deaths belonging to a cardio or cerebrovascular disease. So cardiovascular diseases and cardio arrest are number of cause death globally. One of the most important reason is the hypercholesteremia, that is an increased level of cholesterol in a blood. That is an estimated 17.3 million people died from a CVD, that is a cardiovascular disease, and in 2008, and representing 30% of a global death. The number of people who dies from the CVD, mainly from the heart disease and stroke, will increase to reach around 23.3 million in 2030. So that is a very serious issue for the cardiovascular disease. So estimation of cholesterol level in the blood hence is the most important and challenging task of the medical industry. So development and improvement of existing cholesterol biosensor has got a worldwide attention. So nowadays cholesterol testing, that is in people older than 20 should have their cholesterol level checked at least once every 5 years. This is done with a simple blood test known as the fasting lipid profile test. That is, it measures different forms of cholesterol that are circulating in our body after you avoiding eating for 9 to 12 hours. The result show you are labeled to a bad or good cholesterol or triglycerides. So the high cholesterol level, that is around more than 240 mg per dl, that cause the heart disease caused by the blood vessels damage, hypertension, nephrosis, diabetes, metastasis. that all are due to the high cholesterol concentration. So the low, if the cholesterol level in low concentration, that is also harmful. That is cause the hyperthermia, anemia, liver disease. All are the disease caused by the heart disease. So nowadays, existing method for the cholesterol detection or monitoring is available for the. There is a two technique, that is an invasive and non-invasive. Invasive, that is an where we have to take a blood sample or a blood sample. We need to a blood sample in our body with the help of injection. That is a reference method. That is an ultracentrifugation, enzymatic polarimetric test, electrophoresis, high performance liquid chromatography test, and different invasive techniques are available in the market. And non-invasive technique, that is the classification of total cholesterol level using the body mass index. There is no need to a blood sample or injection in our body. So non-invasive and invasive methods. So advantage of biosensor over the lab test, that is an biosensor do not require any reagent, but lab test require a reagent. Biosensor, its response time is less than 5 seconds, but in the lab test, time detection is more than 20 minutes. So there is some advantage. We do not use any such reagent, so handling is easy. Sample can use to take from any part of the body. It is a simple method for the biosensing. So that is a no experienced person is required for the handling of this biosensing device. So there is a first cholesterol biosensor was developed in 1993. That is the matrix that is used for the detection of cholesterol. That is an electrochemical detection. That is in polypropylene and platinum electrode covered with a polyethylene carbonate membrane. And the bioreceptor is in a cholesterol oxidase. Cholesterol oxidase and cholesterol esterase, that enzymes are responsible for the cholesterol level. So immobilization technique, that is an entrapment, and transducer, that is an amperometry. So day by day, the number of paper or the number of publication in a scientific community is increasing in a cholesterol biosensor. So various electrochemical techniques are available, optical techniques are available in the cholesterol detections, and these are some optical detection. And electrochemical technique is definitely better than optical, because there is some reason for the electrochemical technique. The color of a sample will not interfere with the redox reaction of electrochemical method, and hence do not cause any changes in the electrical signal. But in an optical biosensor or optical cholesterol biosensor detection, color of a sample interferes with the wavelength, which using the optical method, which result in inaccurate data. Actually, में color सही detection नहीं हो पाता. That is cause the interference. So the lifetime of the reagent used during the reaction do not decreases, and the lifetime is dependent on the incipient light. So there is some reason for the electrochemical biosensor or electrochemical cholesterol biosensor over the optical biosensor. So this definition we are already defined, that the sensitivity, response time, reusability, shelf-life, detection limits. So in this estimation of a cholesterol or a cholesterol in a serum sample, that is a serum is in taking a specimen type, that is a collection and storage. So serum first we hepatize or plasma via DTA method, then specimen is stable for 6 days at a 4 degrees centigrade to 25 degrees centigrade. Then patient should be fasted overnight. It is specimen is also for triglyceride detection also. So principle for the method for the cholesterol detection, that is a cholesterol ester, and here is group, that is a cholesterol esterase. That is an enzyme which are responsible for the digestion of cholesterol. Cholesterol esterase, that is a cholesterol esters or a fatty acid that digested by the help of cholesterol esterase in the cholesterol plus fatty acid. Now cholesterol is oxidized by cholesterol oxidase. Cholesterol oxidase to 4-cholesterol and H2O2. These H2O2 that is responsible for the detection of electrochemically detection of cholesterol, or maybe a photochemically or optical detection of cholesterol. In presence of peroxide, hydrogen peroxide oxidizes phenol. This hydrogen peroxide peroxide H2O2 that is oxidizes, and 4-amino antipyrine to give quinine to dye. The colored is a red. That is this is a quinine dye, and which are absorbed at the range. The color produces at the wavelength region around 505 is proportional to the concentration of cholesterol. So so amount of H2O2 will be increases, amount of H2O2 will be increases, the absorption intensity will be increases for a particular wavelength. So that is the sensor for the optical detection. So urgently needed for the accurate detection, small amount of detect a small amount of cholesterol, accurate method, easy to use, that do not use a training person or users, and fast or a quick response, and cost effective online monitoring and accessibility, and continuous monitoring urgently need to a electrochemical biosensor. So here I am showing some cholesterol biosensor result in my research work. That is the first is a nickel oxide to chitosan nanocomposite for cholesterol sensor. Here I am preparing the nickel oxide nanomaterial and characterize in a different characterization tool like XRD and TAM and SEM. And here I am not showing too much data. So that is the basic purpose for the detection of cholesterol. That is the mechanism how to detect the cholesterol for the electrochemically. So there is a biocompatible layer. We are preparing a various type of biocompatible layer. Here I am preparing the nickel oxide and chitosan nanocomposite that utilize this platform for the detection of a cholesterol by electrochemically. That is the electrochemical response that is obtained for the electrochemical response of a cholesterol detection. That the cholesterol level will be increases with reference to their concentration. With reference to concentration. The concentration will be increases in a successive addition of an analyte. Then response electrochemical signal will be also increases linearly. That means the sensor will be work. So here is the mechanistic sequence, mechanistic representation for the biochemical reaction for the cholesterol biosensor. That is a cholesterol olate or a fatty acid. That is a cholesterol olate. That is a cholesterol ester in our body that can be converted to with the help of cholesterol esterase. It converted to a cholesterol and fatty acid. Then these cholesterol get oxidizes to cholesterol 4 in and 3 on with the help of cholesterol oxidase. And there is some redox indicator that is in a ferricyanide and releases the H2O2. These H2O2 get these H2O2 get converted to a 2H plus 2 electron 2e electron by applying some potential value that is around 0.4 potential value. So number of electron will be increases, signal will be increases. So it is depend upon the cholesterol concentration. Cholesterol concentration increases linearly, amount of H2O2 will be increased linearly, and number of electron gets increased linearly, and the signal electrochemical signal get also increased linearly with the help of electrochemical response. So there is a various type of research work are available in this biocompatible layers. That is at various type of a biocompatible layer, that is nanomaterials, nanocomposites, silanes, self-assembled monolayer, conducting polymers. Various types of work or literature are available in these biocompatible layers. So here I am showing the various type of result. That is a nickel ferrite chitosan nanocomposite, which is also published work. And this is a copper oxide that is a biocompatible material that is also used for the cholesterol detection. And that is an various composite that in a nickel oxide, iron, and chitosan composite, nanocomposite, and thulium oxide is also done done for the cholesterol detection. So various type of a nanomaterial which can utilize for the detection of a cholesterol. So after the cholesterol sensing, we are obtaining different types of sensing performance parameter, that is a linearity, detection limit, sensitivity, a Michael-Menton's constant, response time, shelf life. These all are obtaining by the help of electrochemical analyzer. So which one is the best for the sensitivity in terms of sensitivity, linearity, and a low detection limit. So various type of work or literature are available. Here I am showing only 5 results in my research work, which are basically based on the cholesterol detection. So nowadays, features on which success of cholesterol biosensor depends: be stable under a normal storage condition and show a good stability over a large number of assays. The reaction should be independent of a physical parameter, that is a pH and temperature. The response should be accurate, precise, reproducible, and linear over the useful analytical range, that is 0 to 500 mP per dl. It should also be free from the electrical noise. Should also be cheap, small, and portable. Should be cheap, small, and portable, capable of being used by an unskilled person. Screen printing played an important role in the biosensor commercialization, and variation of enzyme and electrode material and improved performance is sensitivity, storage, and shelf life. So commercialization of cholesterol biosensor is a electrochemical cholesterol biosensor is nowadays also a challenging because there is some reason for the electrochemical biosensor, because the stability of biomolecules on a biocompatible layer is a very less. So it is not reproducible. There is a various factor affecting for the biomolecule immobilization and their stability. So the commercialization of electrochemical sensor for the cholesterol detection is currently also a challenge. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I am happy to answer any query. Please ask for any query.
Thank you, Dr. J, for such an informative lecture on cholesterol biosensors. If anybody from the audience have any question, please go ahead and ask.